Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to my channel. I got another story time. Child, I've been busy dodging the cops. Yes, dodging the cops. Because in Florida, when you don't have car insurance, they suspend your license. And when you have suspended license and then you driving on these streets and then the police pull you over, yeah, you go to jail. So, honey, but let me stop playing with y'all. But I sold the car and that person has yet to register and put insurance on that car. So yeah, it's technically still linked to me and my license was suspended, y'all. So I've been on the run from the popo. Not that serious, but y'all know I'm silly. If you're new to my channel, I am Londa. Thank you for clicking on. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit y'all notification bell because apparently YouTube is not really recommending me like showing up on y'all page. I'm not sure. So go ahead and hit your notification bell. Leave a comment down below because that's how we do it over here. I'll respond back to you. And yeah, I have a story time and let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. Do y'all like the shirt? Can y'all see the shirt? It says, yeah, y'all can see it. Italy on the bottom. Hats. Honey, feel like Bob Ross up in here. Shein. Yes, Shein. Love Shein. Say what you want. Talk about your mama. Don't talk about me. This story time, I made a story time about my security experiences, and a good handful of y'all really like the story times about my security experiences. So here we go. So we're gonna pop it off. Don't remember what year this was. Some years back, of course. Like all of my other story times. This specific property, well, this company, I was with them for a while. Wasn't new. Okay. This property I just started, it was like a community property. You know, one of those properties where it has like, you know, different, it's not an apartment building and you have a gate, a security gate. You drive through the community, you find your house. One of those kind of properties. And so, you know, this property had 3 securities. It was a supervisor, it was another officer, and it was me. So we had a guardhouse, we had a rover, and we would drive around the little neighborhood in the car. And then we're gonna call her Khadijah. She was my coworker. So Khadijah was around my age. I think I was like a year or two older than Khadijah. She was a very nice girl. This specific property, they had a Spanish supervisor, and it was Khadijah there, and then I got hired there. Us 3, we would rotate throughout the night. So it would be 2 guardhouse, and then it would be 1 rover who would drive around the community. So I trained with the new supervisor. He teach me. It was nothing to it, y'all. We just would take the people ID who would come in, whether there was like residents or guests. We would just take the ID, write down the little numbers, hit a little button, open the gate, right? You know the little hand that go up and down. You just hit a little gate inside. So nothing to it. Train me there. Give me keys to this little energy friendly little golf cart. It's not a golf cart, it was an actual car, but it was the tiniest thing in my life. Like I barely had room in there. I was like, listen, and it was very small. You have to plug it in like one of those little smart cars, and it was so roach infested, y'all. I have never seen such a roach infested vehicle in my life until that day. Like the car had so many roaches. I guess because people, you know, when they're rovering the security, they must be eating there. Just people dirty. Just, I don't know. So yeah, the little car had so many roaches. So I wasn't feeling that too much, but that's what it was. So Khadijah is very nice. We, you know, of course we talk. I'm getting a hang of things. She's very nice. She's like, I don't need to describe her really. She's like my skin tone. She always rocked the shortcut. She was very like soft spoken. Khadijah was very girly, very pretty, very pretty. And so, y'all, like a week after I got hired, tell me why the Spanish supervisor got fired. So, of course, you know, the word spread and we got whiffed of the rumor that he was stealing time. So the supervisor was stealing time, y'all. You know, clocking in, standing when he wasn't supposed to, you know, doing all that good jazz, still in time. So when we heard that, I'm like, so me and Khadijah was the only one working the security guard for like, we only did it, hold on guys. So yeah, we got whiffed of the Spanish supervisor, him stealing time, and he was gone within a week of me being there, honey. So me and Khadijah, we had to hold down the fort by ourselves for like two nights because we were overnight. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. Remember I told y'all I was an overnight girly. So of course I was overnight. Me and Khadijah, she would work the guardhouse. I would go in the car, rove around the community. I would go back to the guardhouse, do the guardhouse. She would go ride around and do the rovering. Now, after like 2 nights, child, they was not having that. After 2 nights, honey, they was not having that. They had to send us another supervisor. So one night I come to work, me and Khadijah is working, and we're in the guardhouse just yapping away, gossiping, doing what girls do, making the time go by faster pretty much. This guy walks up, he gets out of his car, he has on our security uniform, so me and Khadijah like instantly be like, dang, we got a new supervisor already. Party over. So he came up. Now we're gonna call him Don. So Don was like very tall. Don was like 6'5". He was very dark skinned, had a head full of waves, y'all. Wave gang on fleek. He smelled good. He smelled really good. I love a man that smells good. Don was like, even though it was security, he was dressed like he was a butler in the damn Marriott top tier. I don't know. He was dressed to the gods. Like he smelled real good just to be a gatehouse security. So, this guy walking up and me and Khadijah, we just, we looking at him. We know he's a supervisor. And two is like, yeah, he's handsome. So we're both looking at him. So Don walks up. He comes in the guardhouse. He introduced himself. He tell us his name. Hi, my name is Don, and I'm going to be our new supervisor, and this, and that. Now, me and Khadijah, we already knew our job. He didn't have to train us. We had to train him. So, so while we trained him that night, we did it in shifts, how we would normally do like on a regular night. So the first hour, I trained him. So I was in a guardhouse with Don. Now, Don was a very well-spoken guy. He spoke just how he looked. He carried himself very well. So I talked to him for like an hour or two. It was like an hour or two in there talking about his previous security experience. Just talking, telling him what to do. It's nothing to it. Just copy down people ID information, open a gate. So, he's cool. So now it's like an hour or two later. It's time for Khadijah to come because she's been rovering in that little car. So she pulls up to the gate. I open the gate for her. She pulls the little car in. And it's now her turn to train him. So this day we decided to just let her continue rovering so she can train him for an hour or two. And I just continued on the guardhouse. And I was cool with that because I was in AC. So them two ride off in the sunset, and I didn't see them for like an hour or two. They come back to the front, and it's my turn to drive the car, and I'm gone. That day went swell. Everything was smooth. Don seemed like a very cool supervisor. He's normal, down to earth, and me and Khadijah was very happy about it. Like we didn't feel pressure. It was only 3 of us in this whole like neighborhood property management type thing. So as long as we had a good supervisor, we felt good about the whole, him being there. Now, mind you, me and Khadijah had been working together for like a couple months at this point, right? So, and I don't know if I told y'all or you familiar or you have a little experience in security, but I don't know, some properties you barely see like a manager or like a real boss. Like I was there maybe 3 months, and we seen a boss once. He didn't come at all. Like, so at nighttime, we just used to hold it down. Like, I won't say do what we want, but we didn't have much management over us, besides the supervisor. So one night, Khadijah is rovering, and I'm in the guardhouse, and it's a cool night or whatever. It's chill. It's kind of quiet at this point. And so me and Khadijah would start our shift first, and then Don would come like an hour or two after us because he would check the other properties before he would come to us and work for the rest of the night. So if you guys wondering what I'm doing, I'm rolling my lettuce. I forgot to mention that when I was like, the first couple days when I would train Don, we did talk. Don did state that he had a wife. He said he had a wife, but they were like, in the process of separating. You know how guys, when they want to Woo You, he told me that they were separated, but they stay, like, she doesn't really stay there. She has like a separate home, but she be there for like the kid, or something like that along those lines. I didn't really ask many details. I just took what he gave me. But what he gave me was he had a lady in his life, but they was not together. It is very complicated, but it is what it is. So that's what I got from it. Let's just say, yeah, one night I'm rovering. Khadijah is in the guardhouse. Don has not come yet because he comes like 2 hours after us. So I'm riding around in this little roach car, and I park all the way to the back of the community. In the back of this community, it's like a bunch of big dumpsters and trash cans. I would go back there and I would hang out, like stand outside of the car, just sometimes just hang out on the phone, listen to my music, because we would do rotations every 2 hours, so when it was my turn to rover, I would go out there and I would go hang out and chill with myself, I didn't want to just sit in the car all night just driving around this small community. I would get out and I would like sit outside of the car. So I'm rovering. I decide to get out of the car because I'm tired of sitting down. And I park in my little hangout spot, right? So I'm on the hood of the car chilling. I'm on the car listening to music. Don't remember what I was doing, but I remember sitting outside on the hood of the little car. And it wasn't much hood, but it had a little hood. So I'm sitting out there chilling, and I hear something start running. It was like, it was like making little noises like that, y'all. Tell me why I look up, and this little white and black pig is running towards my feet. Like, it was like a house across the street from the dumpster where I was sitting at. And this little white and black pig, he wasn't little at all. He was kind of fat. This white and black pig come running towards me. He had a black bow tie on the back of his head. Honey, I couldn't believe my eyes. At first, when I heard him like, I just thought maybe it was somebody little chihuahua. Because I seen something running at me. But so when I realized it was a big pig, I pick up my walkie-talkie and I'm like, Khadijah, somebody pig out here. Like, I'm not sure what I thought she can do because she's way in the entrance, but she wasn't responding. So I'm on the walkie like, Khadijah, it's a pig out here, girl. Like, this pig is running after me. I wanted to talk and laugh. I don't know what. She couldn't do nothing, but she was not responding. Like, she always would respond. So, child, the pig runs me around this little car. I gets in the car. And the owner comes running out. Don't remember his name. Let's say the pig name is Tim. So this old lady comes out. Tim, come on, Tim, get in here, Tim. Tim is running around the yard with his boat on. He was kind of cute though. But I ain't never think people have pigs as pets. So that was a shocker when I seen that night. So I get in the little cart car and I drive all the way to the front of the community, hitting all them speed bumps. I'm talking about this little car is bouncing on these speed bumps, because it's funny now, but I was terrified that night when that pig came running at me in the dark. So I go to the front, and now mind you, I can't get inside. I can't. It's like two gate arms. Without somebody in the guardhouse, I can't get out with the car. So I'm calling Khadijah. I'm like, Khadijah is not answering. Where's Khadijah? So I'm calling Khadijah again. Khadijah, come in. Khadijah, come in. No Khadijah. So I'm like, okay, so now I have to get out this car. It's like a car behind me that I'm holding up. I have to get out, go through these million keys that's on my waist to open this door to this guardhouse, to open this gate. So I finally do that. Takes like 10 minutes, honey. I don't know. The guy behind me was patient, and I opened the guardhouse gate and I moved the cart car to the front of the little, the little building, child. So I sit there once I get the guardhouse open, and I'm relaxing, I'm chilling, and I'm just waiting because I don't see Khadijah. So I look around, and I'm observing my surroundings, and I look and I see Don's car. Don had this, well, he didn't have a car. He had a truck, excuse me. He had one of them big vroom vroom trucks, one of them sexy trucks. One of them trucks where you can ride through the flood and you the only car that can make it through. Yes, one of them trucks. He had a nice truck. So I'm looking and I see the truck, and I'm like, well, because it's all kind of people stay in this community with trucks, In fact, there was an officer stayed there with the truck. So after a couple minutes, I'm starting to get worried. So, It's just me at this point. So it's no cars. It's in the middle of the night. So I take the keys, I lock the guardhouse. I'm like, let me walk around and just, just look. So I'm walking in the parking lot. I'm like, let me go walk by this truck. So I'm walking by this truck, and as I'm getting closer, the windows was like halfway down. As I'm getting closer, my keys was clacking. The windows just all of a sudden go up. So I'm like, that's strange. So I continue walking up to the truck that looks like Dawn's. And when I walk up, like as soon as I make it to the back of the truck, the doors open. Both driver and passenger, they flew open, and Dawn and Khadijah gets out of that truck. And they just standing there staring at me. So they didn't even let me make it to like the front of the car to even see what was going on. I just know as soon as I walked up to the truck, both of the car doors flew open and they hopped out really fast. So I was shocked. I'm like, because he told me he had a woman in his life, but you know how that go. And I'm guessing she was single. I know she had a child, but I don't know what Khadijah's romantic life was like. So I was shocked. I was like, look at y'all too. What y'all doing? And they grown, so they kind of like pushed it off, like mind your business, and I did. I was kind of curious, so I did speak with Khadijah a little bit after that, and she kind of told me she liked him, and she told me that they be talking and stuff like that, and like I told you, every single night we hadn't seen a boss at this point since Don has been hired. It's just been us three holding this community down by ourselves. So that night, them two decided to hook up in the car and talk and do whatever, I guess, and leave me in the guardhouse by myself. We're gonna take it to this one night when everything happened. I'm talking about, let's get to it. Everything happened in one night. Mind y'all, every time me and Don is in close proximity of each other and we talk, it's never nothing about no woman. It's nothing like that. It's always cordial. He has a cool life, or I guess, or whatever. Same thing with Khadijah. So this night, y'all, I'm rovering. Them two supposed to be doing the guardhouse. This is the scene, right? So it's nighttime, and this is what it is. So it's very cold this night. I remember because I rovered for like 15 minutes, child, and I had a hiding spot besides the dumpster spots in the back. It's inside. It was like a gym inside the leasing office. I would go in there and I would like sit down and hang out for like an hour or two. I'm not gonna lie. So I was in there this night. I was hanging out in there this night, and it was very, very, very cold. So I'm hanging out in the gym. I'm sitting on the ground playing music, probably on YouTube on my phone. And all of a sudden, I just hear this, it's like the fire alarm just started going off. And when that fire alarm go off in the big buildings, it's loud. So these lights flashing and it's like real loud. So I get on my walkie and I'm like, Don, Khadijah, because somebody have to come with the key and, handle that. So I'm like on the walkie, I'm like, Don, Khadijah. Nothing. So I wait a second. So I'm getting up. I had my shoes off, honey. I'm in there relaxing, big chilling. So I put on my shoes. I grabbed my little security belt, put on everything. And I'm still on my walkie. I'm like, Don Khadijah. Because those of you who know, when the fire alarm goes off and you don't cut it off in a timely manner, it gets signaled to the fire department. And if the fire department has to come out, it's a hefty bill. I'm talking about hundreds of dollars. So it's like 5 minutes at this point. I'm already dressed and I'm on the walkie-talkie. I'm like, Don Khadijah. So they're not answering. So I get in the little cart car and I go to the front of the building where the guardhouse at. I can't get the car outside of the gate because them two is not inside of the guardhouse. I'm still on the walkie-talkie like Don Khadijah because Don is the supervisor. He has the key to unlock this panel, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm kind of getting nervous because it is so loud. I'm talking about this building had the houses lit up. It was extremely loud. So we needed to cut this off. So I'm on the walkie-talkie. Don Khadijah, nobody's answering me. So I'm there. And then I'm sitting in the guardhouse. Maybe 2 minutes later, I see, like, you can see the fire department lights coming from down the block. So I see these lights coming and I'm like, oh shit, the fire department is now coming on the property. So I put the walkie-talkie down. I called Don on his cell phone. He's not answering. So the fire department make it to the guardhouse where I'm at. I'm sitting there looking stupid. So the department, the firefighter's asking me. He's like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I'm like, "I don't think it's a fire. I just think maybe something has triggered it, and whatever." So he's like, "So why don't you turn it off?" I'm like, "Well, my supervisor is supposed to be here, but he has the key. I don't have the key." So the fire department is standing. They're just parked outside of the building with their lights on. It's just a whole scene now. So I eventually opened the gate. I let the fire department in. They know how to handle that. So it took them a while to get in the building. So this is still going on. Every couple people from inside of their house, they're not coming outside. It's like, like, I ain't gonna lie, like old people, when they be up at night, they just be having nothing to do. So a couple old people was coming outside of their house. It was getting hectic, y'all. And when I get anxiety, I start to sweating and I start to stuttering, and it's just getting bad. So I'm sitting in the guardhouse. Khadija, Dawn, nobody is responding to me. So while the fire department is working in the building trying to cut the alarm off, I'm just sitting in the guardhouse, right? So I have the door open in this guardhouse, and I'm just sitting in this chair. Y'all, tell me why this big brown mutt dog runs inside of the guardhouse. He runs inside, and this is a very small cell-like guardhouse. He runs in this guardhouse, and I've been bit before. I was terrified, but I love dogs, but this was a street dog. So this dog runs inside this guardhouse. I hop up on top of the counter. The dog looking at me. I'm looking at him. He's huffing. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. The whole time, the fire alarm in the back in the building is just going. I can see this old lady walking with her walker with her little dog. I can see her from the corner of my eye. She's starting to make her way to the guardhouse at this point, y'all. And so this dog, he wasn't vicious at all. So he's looking at me, and he eventually walks outside. He's like, this girl's screaming. He eventually walks outside, and he continues down the street by his way. On top of, I can see the old lady making her way to the guardhouse with her walker. Guess who I see running down the street? None other than Timmy the pig. I'm not lying. This pig was so cute. So I can see the fat pig running down the street in the community. He's running to the guardhouse. I see this old lady. She wasn't that old, like the owner of the pig, but she was like an older lady. So I can see her. She got her a stick or whatever for him. And she's walking behind Timmy the pig. And he's running towards the front. This old lady is walking towards with a walker. The fire department is trying to get this door open to cut this alarm off in this big building. I can't find Khadija and Tim to save my life, right? It can't get any worse, but it can. Now, in the process of all of this, a tow truck comes through. I let the tow truck come through because tow trucks, we just let them through, honey. So I'm sitting at this guardhouse not knowing what to do. Nobody's returning my call. I'm sitting there, and this car pulls up. And so this guy comes out, and he's a white guy, and he introduced himself. We're going to call him Boss. So I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, boss. Like, I've met him. I actually haven't met this one. I've met one before, but I haven't met this one. So I'm like, how you doing, boss? And I didn't know who he was. So he's like, yeah, I'm just doing my rounds tonight. It's very nice to meet you. I'm very new to the company, and I'm just making my rounds around the property, getting to know all of the securities, to see how you guys are doing. And he's smiling like this. So while he's looking at me smiling, I see his eyes drift off, and he's looking. So he's like, oh, the fire alarm. This whole time, I toned out the fire alarm because, after a while, you don't hear it. But he's like, oh, my gosh, the fire alarm is going off. Where's your supervisor? So I'm like, oh, Don? So I'm like, so I'm not going to lie, y'all. We used to take turns. It was a McDonald's right down the street. We used to take turns, and we used to leave the property and go get each other food. So I'm like, oh, Don, he went to McDonald's, he went to McDonald's to get us something to eat. I had a headache. I wasn't feeling good, he went to get us something to eat. So the boss was like, oh, okay, you know, you're not supposed to do that. Like, I have to talk to Don about that. You're not supposed to leave the property, but, you know, if you're not feeling well, you know, that's nice of him of doing that, but I need to speak with him. So he was like, where's the other young lady supposed to be on the property? I'm like, Khadijah? Khadijah? I'm like, oh, Khadijah, I don't know. Khadijah, I don't know. I was really stuttering just like that. I was like, I don't know. Just how I came up with the top of my head with the McDonald's, I couldn't cover for Khadijah because I didn't know he was that sharp and knowing how many people were supposed to work that night. So I'm like, oh, Khadijah. I'm like, I'm not sure. She was rovering, you know. And then he was like, well, the car is right here. I'm like, well, she walked off. She's just rovering, walking around the community. So he was like, okay, I need to meet her too, you know, introduce myself and this and that. So I'm sitting there like, okay. Why was I so scared, y'all? Because I was there. I was doing my part while the whole community is falling apart. Eventually, boss walks off and he walks over to the big building where the fire department was because he had to handle that, right? Maybe he had a key. I don't know at this point. I don't know. So he walks off, minutes go by. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh shit, they in trouble. And it couldn't get no worse. Oh, but it did. It did. So I'm sitting there and there's another car pull up. So she pulls up to the front. I'm like, oh, how you doing? You know, you stay here. She was like, no, I'm looking for Don. So I'm like, oh, Don, you know, how you doing? Who are you? You know, so I can relay the message. She was like, oh, I'm his wife. So I'm like, oh, Don? So I told her the same thing. I say, well, I haven't seen Don in about 20 minutes. You know, I think he went up the street to the McDonald's or whatever to get, I'm not sure. But, you know, if you just wait a little minute, he should be coming back pretty soon. So she was like, okay. So she pulled her car to the side of the building, y'all, and she was waiting. So I'm like, yo, where is Don? Tell me why I'm sitting in the guardhouse just on the phones trying to call Khadijah, trying to call Don. This man truck pulls up, and when he pulls up, you know, you can't really see the cars that's parked in front of the guardhouse when you enter the building. Y'all wouldn't understand, but let's just say when you pull up to come to the security gate, you can't see the cars until you pull up. Let's just say that. So he didn't have enough time to peek game and pull off. So he done pulled up to the guardhouse in this big truck, y'all, and I'm like, oh shit. And the reason why I say, oh, shit, because wife in the car, she was mad, honey. She was mad. She was steaming. So I'm like, oh, shit. So he pulls up. She opened her car door, and I could see her getting out of the car already. As soon as she see his truck pull up. So he pulls up, and it was too late. So he gets out of the truck, and I'm looking at him. I'm eyeing him down, and then I see the passenger side door open, y'all. Guess who gets out of this car, y'all? Khadijah. So wife walks up and she's going off. So she was like, so why you can't answer the phone? I've been calling you all night. He was like, oh man, what you doing here? Like, I'm at work. What you doing here? She was like, I've been calling you all night. I have to pull up. I have to do all of this. You told me you was doing right by me, and this just all kind of stuff of that along those lines. And Don is just standing there looking stupid, y'all. Now, I'm standing here. I'm just a witness of all of this. So I'm just standing there in case she swing on him. Khadijah she was like digging in his truck, like fumbling, I guess, getting her belongings. Khadijah closed the door. She walks behind his truck, comes to the other side of the guardhouse. Now Khadijah is on the side of me, inside of the guardhouse, right? So wife peep game and look at her. So she was like, and this who you been like, you know, every time I'm calling you at work, you don't answer the phone. This who you cheating on me with, this, and that, and the third. So now I hear the other side of the door open on the guardhouse. Guess who comes in, y'all? Boss. So boss is like, at first he was happy, but then he sat and was like analyzing the situation because wife is screaming. Don is standing there looking stupid. Khadijah is standing next to me shaking like a stripper. And I'm just standing there like looking stupid. So boss is like, what's going on? What's going on? This is very inappropriate. What's happening? So before anybody got to respond, boss was like, I've been here for about 20 minutes. I had to help the fire department. You know, we're gonna have a big bill because of this. Don, you're the supervisor. You're supposed to be here. You're not supposed to leave the property. Then he was going in, like the boss is going in. So I'm just standing there like, what's gonna happen? So while boss is talking, y'all, Tell me why the Don wife, she ends up like just, I don't know how to explain it. She went off on him, like she crashed out. I seen like she had one head on top for him just like a woman. She had one hand on top of Don's head and the other hand boop boop boop. And you know why? It went from her just talking like that to her boop boop boop. Don's zipper was down, y'all. Tell me why Don was moving so fast. He had to unbuckle his pants. Don's zipper was down. Like, I'm talking about his meat, his nut balls was almost coming out his pants and he didn't even know it. So while she was sitting there talking to him, she must have looked down and seen his pants was undone. And she seen them little pubes hair coming out. And wife wanted to boop, boop, boop. So when she doing that, boss was like, oh my God, oh my God. Call the police, Londa, call the police. So I don't like the police, even at work. So I'm like, dang, why can't we just break them up? You know, and Khadijah's still standing next to me. So wife did not try to fight Khadijah now. I'm not going to, she told Don up. But boss is like, call the police, call the police. And so I'm looking at them outside of the guardhouse just fight. Now, Don did not hit her back, but wife is like beating up Don. She pulling on him. She tore his belt off. She's like doing everything to him. He had earrings in. One earring was gone. Child, she was tearing them up outside. So the boss was out there trying to break them two up. Me and Khadijah, I told Khadijah, I said, call the police because we need some assistance. Y'all, long story short, because this story, I could just go on and on about this night. Long story short, we're going to wrap this scene up. The police end up coming and breaking wife up off of Don. Khadijah is still standing there looking stupid. Boss is pissed. And me, I'm just there witnessing to tell y'all this story. The old lady with the pig, she's still running down the street, running after Timmy. No lie. This pig was the baddest pig. How come pigs are so fat but so active? He ran his ass off the whole night. She's still running down the street after Timmy the pig, child. This old lady with the walker, she didn't cause any problems. She was not a Karen, but she just sat out there the whole night. So she started walking off with her walker back to her house. The fire department eventually leave. And so, yeah, the night is cleared out. Me and Khadijah, boss ended up telling Don to leave for the night. Me, Khadijah stayed there and finished the shift out there. Too long of a story to talk about what we talked about. So, yeah, Don, we never seen Don. Well, I never seen Don again. And then like 3 days later, when I came to work, you know, to come in the guardhouse, it was a whole new girl in there, y'all. Very pretty young lady too. She was Indian. She had some very long curly hair, just like this. But it was her real hair. She was very pretty. Didn't get to meet her, like get to know her that much. But both Don and Khadijah was fired, child. I had done called Khadijah's phone. I guess she was embarrassed. I never spoke to Khadijah again. Never spoke to Khadijah again. Never had her on social media. I guess she was too embarrassed to tell you, girl, she got fired for messing with the supervisor on the job. Child, that night was crazy. If y'all enjoyed this story time, you know what to do. Go ahead and like the video. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't already, subscribed to my channel. And don't forget to hit your notification bell so you can keep up with me. And we can make it do what it do. I'm out.